Why is it that when a woman is broke, the society says support her? But when a man is broke, the society says avoid him? Why do we say things like a broke man shouldn't be dating? Does that mean love is something a man must earn financially before he deserves it? Does companionship have a price tag? And if a man is still figuring life out, is he expected to struggle alone until he becomes successful enough to be loved? Today on the Noble Frequency, we are talking about something men rarely says out loud: the pressure of being a man. Welcome to the Noble Frequency, a podcast where we get to think deeper and listen differently. This is not a podcast about teaching you what to think. It is a space for conversations that go beyond the surface. Conversations people are often too afraid to have or too comfortable to question. My name is Afistonova. Today, I'll be talking about men, money, and the silent pressure society places on them. From childhood, many men are taught three things: be strong, provide, never be broke. But what happens when a man is still building his life? Does he lose the right to companionship? In many cultures, especially in Nigeria, masculinity is closely tied to financial capability. A man is expected to pay for dates, support his partner, provide for a family, be the financial pillar of the relationship. Responsibility itself is not the problem, but the question is, when does responsibility become pressure? Because when a man cannot meet those expectations, society doesn't just say he is struggling, it says he is failing as a man. You have probably heard this phrase before: a broke man has no business being in a relationship. At first glance, it sounds practical. The logic is simple. Focus on building yourself first. Relationships require money. Love doesn't pay the bills. But think deeper. Does emotional connection only belong to people who have already made it? Does that mean poor men are expected to live emotionally isolated lives until they become financially acceptable? Nigerian culture has many sayings that reflects this mindset. You hear things like, a man without money is not a man. No money, no respect. A poor man's love is not valued. When a man has money, he speaks and everyone listens. This saying sounds harsh, but they shape how many men see themselves. For some men, money is not just about comfort, it's about identity. Without it, they feel invisible. Society often encourages men to express vulnerability, but men are told to man up, to stop complaining, to figure it out. A struggling woman may receive sympathy, but a struggling man often receives criticism. So many men suffer silently. They work longer hours, they hide stress, they carry financial pressure alone. And sometimes they start to believe something dangerous: if I don't have money, I have no value. Here is a deeper question: should the relationship only begin after success? Or can two people build a life together while still figuring things out? Historically speaking, many couples built wealth together. But today, the expectation is different. Some people now believe a man must arrive successfully before he qualifies for love. But is that realistic? Or does it create emotional distance between men and relationships? Of course, there is another perspective. Some people argue relationship requires stability, financial stress destroys relationship, love alone cannot sustain a household. And that argument has truth to it. But the question remains, should financial readiness determine whether someone deserves love? Or should it simply determine the type of responsibility they take on? Maybe the real issue isn't money. Maybe it is how the society defines the value of a man. If a man's worth is mentioned by only his bank account, then failure becomes terrifying. And fear like that changes people. It makes men hide vulnerability. It makes them delay relationship. And sometimes it makes them feel alone even when surrounded by others. Being responsible is important. Building financial stability is important. But maybe we should ask ourselves a deeper question. If a man's only value comes from money, what happens to the man behind the paycheck? Because behind every provider is still a human being. And maybe, just maybe, love should not be something men must earn with a bank balance. If this episode made you think differently, share it with someone. And if you have a topic you want us to explore, send us a message, because here on the Nova Frequency, we believe in one thing: think deeper and listen differently.